Hello and welcome. This is a stamping technique video on stamping with markers. You're only going to need a couple different supplies for this. You need a water-based marker, some cardstock, and a stamp. You can use either the red rubber cling mount or photopolymer, the clear stamps. This works on any of them as long as your markers are water-based. You cannot do this with alcohol markers. You'll ruin your stamps, you'll ruin your markers. So I've done a little bit of a comparison here with 3 different brands of water-based markers that I have. I have the Stampin' Up! Stampin' Right markers. I have the Tombow markers, and they say right on them water-based. So you can see that right on the barrel of the marker. And then I also have these Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Any of them work for this technique. I tried to kind of pick similar colors if I could to show my example here. Really, you can use any brand as long as they're water-based. So let's get started on the actual technique. I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock here, and this stamp that I'm playing with is this cute little strawberry. It looks like a chocolate dipped strawberry. That's actually from this P.S. I Love You stamp set from Stampin' Up! This was from many, many years ago. I'm guessing probably about 15 years ago or so. So it's no longer available, but this I kind of identified as a stamp that I didn't really know what to do with because, you know, if you stamp it, if you use an ink pad to ink it up, you're going to end up mainly with one color. And I thought, well, that doesn't really look right. So this is the perfect technique to use for a stamp like this that clearly has 3 different parts: the stem, the strawberry, and the chocolate. Okay, so grab your cardstock that you're going to stamp onto and your stamp, and then you're going to want to grab your water-based markers. I'm going to use, because I don't have a real great red in the Stampin' Right markers, I'm going to use the Tombow, but I will use a green and the brown in the Stampin' Right. But what you're going to do basically is use your marker and color directly onto the stamp instead of using your ink pad to ink up your stamp. So couple different tips and techniques with this. Make sure that you're using the brush end of the marker, not the small nib end. It doesn't work with that. You have to have kind of more of the big brush end that has the, you know, that nice juicy ink in it. And then when you're coloring on your stamp, let me zoom in a little bit here. You're going to want to lay the brush kind of to the side and color with the side of that brush tip versus having it straight up and down. You can wreck the tip of your marker if you use it straight up and down. So again, we'll just add the color to the stamp. I just did that green, and then I'm going to add the red. And you want to work somewhat quickly. I mean, it's not a race. You don't have to, you know, zoom through it, but you know, I try to move somewhat quickly. And then you'll add the brown at the bottom here. One other tip that's kind of nice to think about is if you start with the lightest color first and work your way to the darkest, it does avoid you know, blending some of those colors that you maybe don't want to accidentally blend together. Okay, now the last thing you do before you flip this over and apply it to your card is you're going to bring this up toward your mouth and you're going to huff on it. So you're going to, that warm air is moist when you do that, when you huff out like that, and it's going to add a little bit of moisture back to this ink to kind of reactivate it. So I'm going to do that. And then turn your stamp and stamp onto the cardstock. Isn't that cute? That little heart-shaped strawberry. So it's as simple as that. Really easy. Just like I said, use your water-based markers, color them directly onto your stamps, huff, and stamp. And last but not least, I do want to show you just a little bit of a make that I have been working on. This is using this little strawberry stamp set, kind of a little maybe Valentine or anniversary card. Using that stamp, I honestly don't think I had ever used it, but once I realized I could use this technique, on this card. I kind of went to town and did some repeat stamping, some repeat circle shapes, and I think it turned out pretty cute. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you try this technique out. I would love to see if you practice this yourself, if you play with it and make something with it. Tag me on your social media, on Instagram and Facebook. It's at leahfaehandmade.com. I'd love to see what you're making. Let me know if you have any questions at all in the comments down below, and have a great rest of your day.